You know, every single living thing on this planet, from the tiniest microbe to a giant redwood, and yes, that includes you, is running on a secret code. It's a language, written in a molecule so small it's basically invisible, but it dictates absolutely everything about us. And this code? It's hidden away, deep inside every one of our trillions of cells. Today, we're going to crack that code.
Okay, so let's just dive right in with a question that gets to the very heart of this. Think about it. Your brain cells, your skin cells, your muscle cells, they all have the exact same set of instructions, the exact same DNA. So why isn't a brain cell also a muscle cell? Why don't they all look and act the same? That's the puzzle we're here to solve.
So to even begin to solve this mystery, we've got to start at the source. We need to go right to the master blueprint, the document that holds the designs for every single feature of life. And that blueprint, of course, is DNA. It's this incredible molecule, and it's broken up into sections called genes. The easiest way to think about a gene is as a single specific recipe for making something the cell needs. And usually, that something is a protein. But this creates a huge logistical problem. The DNA is way too important to risk damaging it, so the cell keeps it locked up for maximum security inside a little vault called the nucleus. It's like the master copy of a blueprint for a skyscraper. You don't just take that original document out onto the muddy, chaotic construction site, right? So what does the cell do? How does it get those critical instructions from the safety of the vault out to the cytoplasm, which is basically the factory floor where all the building happens? Well, it needs a messenger. And this is where the second major player in our story makes its entrance. It turns out the cell has an incredibly elegant solution to this locked vault problem. It doesn't move the original at all. It just sends a copy.
So instead of moving the entire priceless blueprint, the cell makes a quick, temporary, and disposable copy of just the one recipe it needs at that moment. This whole process is called transcription, and the copy it makes is called messenger RNA, or mRNA for short. It's the molecular equivalent of snapping a quick photo of one page in a reference book you can't check out of the library.
And the process itself is just beautiful. First, that famous DNA double helix unwinds just a little bit, right at the gene that's needed. Then a special enzyme comes in and just glides along one of the DNA strands, reading the code and building a matching RNA copy. As soon as that copy is finished, the new mRNA molecule just peels off, and it's small enough to slip right out of the nucleus, carrying its instructions to the rest of the cell.
All right, so the message has been delivered. It's now out in the cytoplasm, the bustling main area of the cell. The instructions have officially arrived at the factory floor. Now the real work can begin, turning those written instructions into a physical thing.
So out in the cytoplasm, we find the factory workers. And these are absolutely amazing molecular machines called ribosomes. Their entire job is to grab onto these mRNA messages and read them. This next step is called translation, and it's called that for a reason. The ribosome is literally translating the message from one language, the language of nucleic acids, which is what RNA is written in, into a totally different language, the language of amino acids. And amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. This is the moment the abstract blueprint becomes a physical reality.
I really want you to picture this. The ribosome latches onto the mRNA strand and just starts chugging along, reading the code 3 letters at a time. And for every 3-letter word it reads, it grabs a specific amino acid floating by and attaches it to a growing chain. It's kind of like making a necklace, linking different colored beads together in a very specific order. But, and this is where the real magic happens, this isn't just some floppy chain. As it's being built, this chain of amino acids immediately starts to fold and twist and coil into a super specific, incredibly complex 3D shape. That final shape, that shape is everything. It's what gives the protein its job.
And that perfectly folded shape, that's a protein. And these proteins, these are the answer to that mystery we started with. They are the tireless workers, the microscopic machines that do pretty much every single thing needed to keep you alive. And I'm not exaggerating, I mean everything. The very structure of your bones, the contracting of your muscles, the firing of the neurons in your brain, even your ability to digest your lunch, it all comes down to the work of these proteins. They are the true workforce of the body. So what do? Well, for starters, some are the builders. Proteins like collagen weave together to form the strong, flexible structures of your skin and your tendons. Inside each of your cells, other proteins form a kind of microscopic scaffolding that gives the cell its shape and structure. Others are the movers and shakers. Tiny little protein motors in your muscle cells slide past each other to create the force that lets you walk, lift things, or even just blink. And then you have the catalysts, which we call enzymes. Think of them as hyper-efficient project managers. Every single one of the thousands of chemical reactions happening in your body right now is being sped up by a specific enzyme. Without them, our metabolism would just grind to a halt.
I mean, the sheer variety is incredible. Some proteins are messengers, carrying signals between cells to coordinate everything. Others are your bodyguards, the antibodies your immune system uses to hunt down viruses. Yep, those are just highly specialized, precisely shaped proteins.
So there you have it. That's the central flow of information in life. DNA stores the plan, RNA carries a copy of the plan, and proteins are the workers that actually build and do everything based on that plan.
Now, for a long time, we kind of thought that was the whole story. A nice, simple, one-way street of information. But as we've learned, biology is almost never that simple. There's a plot twist.
So is it really just a straightforward assembly line running at full blast all the time? Or does the cell have a smarter, more sophisticated way to manage this whole process?
Well, it turns out there's a whole other layer of control. Scientists discovered these tiny little molecules called microRNAs. Now, these guys don't carry instructions to build anything. Instead, their job is to act like a volume dial for protein production. They can hunt down a specific mRNA message, grab onto it, and either block the ribosome from reading it or even mark that message for destruction. This is a total game changer because it gives the cell an incredibly precise way to fine-tune exactly how much of a certain protein gets made and when.
Okay, so we've got all the pieces on the board now. The master blueprint, the messenger, the factory workers, and even this hidden management system. So how does this all come together to finally answer the question we started with?
And here it is. This is the solution. Think of the DNA in every cell like a giant library that has thousands of different instruction manuals. Now, even though every cell has the entire library, they only check out and read the specific books relevant to their job. So a muscle cell turns on or expresses the genes for contraction proteins. A neuron expresses genes for signaling proteins. A skin cell expresses genes for things like collagen. This is called differential gene expression, and it's the whole secret. The identity of a cell is defined not by the library it has, but by the books it chooses to read. And because this whole system is so absolutely fundamental to life, when it breaks, the consequences can be devastating. A single typo, a mutation, in the DNA blueprint can create a faulty mRNA message. And that can lead to a protein that's misfolded, doesn't work, or is even toxic. These errors are at the root of so many diseases, from cancer, where growth signals get stuck in the on position, to neurodegenerative disorders where bad proteins clump together in the brain. It all comes back to this flow of information.
But on the flip side, understanding this framework is also our greatest weapon. It is the foundation of pretty much all of modern biology and medicine. From cutting-edge gene editing technologies that aim to literally go in and fix those typos in the DNA, to the revolutionary mRNA vaccines that hijack this very system to teach our bodies how to fight off new viruses. It's really an amazing thing to think about. Life, with all of its mind-boggling complexity, is all built upon this surprisingly simple and elegant flow of information. A message is written, copied, delivered, and then translated into action. And it's happening in trillions of your cells, every single second.
So the story of life is written in this ancient code. But what's truly incredible is that right now, for the first time in the history of the planet, we are learning not just how to read that story, but how to edit it, how to write the next chapter ourselves. The only question left is, what do we want that chapter to say?